Prince Andrew, the disgraced Duke of York, just got a brutal wake-up call from his own brother, King Charles. Beatrice and Eugenie? Allowance slashed. Royal perks? Gone. Subsidized palaces? Evicted. And guess what? The taxpayer-funded gravy train is finally screeching to a halt. But let's be real, this isn't charity ending, it's decades of entitlement collapsing under its own weight. Imagine checking into a 5-star hotel, for life. No bill. No work. Just because your dad partied with Epstein and your uncle is king. That was the reality for Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, until King Charles finally said, enough. Royal expert Robert Jobson dropped the bomb. Charles has told Andrew's daughters, you're on your own. No more allowances. No more discounted royal mansions. No more staff paid by you. But here's the kicker. Beatrice is married to property tycoon Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, net worth £100 million plus. Eugenie's husband? Jack Brooksbank, tequila brand ambassador for Casamigos, George Clooney's billion-dollar liquor empire. So why the hell were British and Commonwealth taxpayers, including Canadians like you, footing the bill for their struggles? Spoiler, they weren't struggling. They were scamming. Let's start with the root of this rut, Prince Andrew himself. The man who claimed he was at Pizza Express in Woking while allegedly trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein. The man who paid £12 million to a woman he never met, Virginia Giuffre, to make his problems disappear. That settlement? Funded by Queen Elizabeth's private fortune. Money ultimately tied to the Duchy of Lancaster, aka public assets. But here's what they don't tell you. While Andrew was lawyering up, his daughters were still cashing 6-figure allowances from the sovereign grant, your tax money. Beatrice and Eugenie weren't working royals. They had zero official duties. Yet they lived in 30-room apartments at St. James's Palace and Kensington Palace cottages. Rent? Peppercorn. As low as £1,000 a month for properties worth £5 million plus. Andrew's scandal didn't just tarnish the crown, it protected his kids' lifestyle. The palace feared cutting them off would expose the whole system. So they kept the tap running. Staff. Cars. Security. All while Andrew hid at Royal Lodge, refusing to leave his 30-room mansion, another taxpayer-subsidized pad he's squatting in, refusing to pay market rent. This isn't royalty. This is organized freeloading. Now let's talk about the daughters. The media loves to paint Beatrice and Eugenie as relatable. Give me a break. Beatrice, VP at Affinity, a tech firm embroiled in sexual harassment scandals. Her husband Edoardo owns Banda property, luxury developments in Mayfair. Their net worth, £100 million plus. Yet she lived in a Kensington Palace apartment subsidized by the Crown Estate. Eugenie, director at Hauser and Wirth Art Gallery, a job critics call a vanity title. Her husband Jack? Casamigos brand ambassador, £1 million plus in endorsements. They split time between Portugal's Costa Terra Golf Resort, homes from £3 million, and Ivy Cottage at Kensington Palace, again, taxpayer subsidized. These women aren't broke. They are billionaire adjacent. So why were they on the sovereign grant? Because Daddy's scandal made them untouchable. The palace feared bad PR if they cut Andrew's kids loose while he was under FBI investigation. So you paid. For their security. Their staff. Their hardship. And get this, in 2022, Eugenie flew to the Super Bowl in a private jet with Jack. Cost? £100,000 plus. Meanwhile, UK nurses were on strike over pay. That's the disconnect. That's the arrogance. King Charles says he's streamlining the monarchy. Good. But let's not pretend this is noble. This is damage control. The Epstein fallout made Andrew radioactive. Polls show 70% of Brits want a slimmed-down monarchy. Charles had no choice. But here's the hypocrisy. While Beatrice and Eugenie lose their allowances, Andrew still clings to Royal Lodge, a £30 million estate he refuses to vacate. Charles pays his £1 million plus annual security bill. Why? Because Andrew's holding the Epstein files like a grenade. This isn't reform. It's appeasement. Charles cut the daughters to look tough, but he's still bankrolling the predator-in-chief. Until Andrew is evicted, until his security is slashed, until he's gone, this is just theatre. This isn't new. Andrew's been a walking scandal for decades. Remember Air Miles Andy? The man who flew private jets on trade missions that achieved nothing but racking up £7 million in travel bills. Remember his dodgy deals with Kazakh oligarchs? Selling his mansion for £15 million to a dictator's son-in-law? Remember when he tried to get the Queen to pay his accuser £12 million to shut her up? He settled out of court with Epstein's victim using taxpayer money. And through it all, his daughters glided along on the same gravy train. No job requirements. No public service. Just occasional ribbon cutting when they felt like it. Meanwhile, nurses work double shifts, pensioners choose between heat and food, and Canadian taxpayers, yes, Canada, still in the Commonwealth, subsidize the circus. One ex-user said it best: abolish the royal family completely. And you know what? They are not wrong. Charles isn't the villain here, he's the cleanup crew. His slashing staff, ending hotel-style living for non-working royals, and telling Andrew's kids, get a job. But let's be real, this should have happened in 2019 when Andrew's Epstein interview aired. The fact it took 6 years proves how deep the rut goes. Beatrice and Eugenie aren't the problem. They are the symptom. The disease? Prince Andrew's decades of believing rules don't apply to him. His still holed up in Royal Lodge, a 30-room mansion he can't afford, refusing to leave like a squatter with a crown. Charles should evict him tomorrow. Turn it into a museum. Exhibit A, How Not to Be a Royal. Remember when Andrew was the UK's special representative for trade? He jetted 200,000 miles a year, first class, on taxpayer dime. His pitch to foreign dignitaries? Britain offers value for money. Value. For money. The same man who billed the public £15,000 for a 100-mile helicopter trip to a golf event. The same man whose trade envoy title was a cover for schmoozing Epstein's billionaire pals. Andrew's downfall wasn't just Epstein. It was the arrogance. He thought royal blood made him untouchable. When the Queen finally cut his security in 2022, he threw a tantrum. But his daughters? Still protected. Still housed. Still funded. Why? Because Andrew convinced the palace that the York brand had value. The brand that settled a sex assault claim for £12 million without admitting liability. That brand. King Charles isn't the hero here. He's the janitor cleaning up Andrew's mess. Jobson says the king is ending the Hotel Royal system. No more distant cousins in grace and favor homes. No more allowances for non-workers. But let's be real, Charles enabled this for years. He let Andrew negotiate a £3 million loan from shady donors to pay off due-free. He let the York girls keep their titles while doing nothing. Only now, when polls show 60% of Brits want the monarchy slimmed or scrapped, does he act. And the Canadian angle? Our viewer from the Commonwealth is spot on. Why is Canada, where the king is head of state, still bankrolling Andrew's kids? Beatrice and Eugenie have never undertaken a single official tour in Canada. Yet their security, their housing, their lifestyle? Subsidized by Commonwealth taxes. It's colonial cosplay at its worst. This isn't about two princesses losing their allowance. It's about a system that rewards failure. Andrew failed as a diplomat. Failed as a father to instill work ethic. Failed to take accountability. Let's summarize the scam. Prince Andrew partied with Epstein, paid millions to silence victims, your money. His daughters, married to multimillionaires, lived in palaces on your dime. King Charles finally cuts them off, but only after public outrage. Andrew? Still squatting in a 30-room mansion with taxpayer-funded security. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a heist. Beatrice and Eugenie aren't victims. They are accomplices in a system that let their father dodge accountability for decades. To every Canadian, every Brit, every Commonwealth citizen watching, you've been robbed. Your taxes funded ascot hats, Super Bowl trips, and Epstein-adjacent cover-ups demand more. Abolish the allowances. Evict Andrew. Sell the palaces. Make them work like the rest of us. Because if two princesses married to millionaires can't survive without royal welfare, maybe it's time to burn the whole system down. Smash like if you're done funding freeloaders. Comment evict Andrew if you agree. Subscribe for more royal takedowns. The revolution starts now.